Okay, with the quorum present, well, let me start over. It's, good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday, April 10th, 2024 at 6 p.m. And, with the quorum present, I will call to order the, Town of Freetown Master Plan Committee. And I'm going to do roll call. So David? Here. Keith? Here. Charlie? Here. Nick is not here.
Not here.
Trevor? Here. And so, Master Plan Committee meeting is open. And first up on the agenda is the services, facilities, and transportation deep dive by Serco.
Hi, everyone. Well, you all know me. I'm Chris Welch. So today we're gonna quickly go through services and facilities. We'll go through the project to date as well as updates. Then we'll go through existing conditions for the topics as well as community vision. And then we'll wrap up with the early draft goals and strategies. So just a really quick recap, we're currently at the feedback stage of our timeline for the master plan. We're on deep dive number 2. So we still have one more deep dive to go after this, which hopefully we can plan for about a month out. Another really quick overview in terms of engagement. So we, as you guys know, we've had our open house as well as our first deep dive, and we've also done some traveling workshops and pop-ups. In terms of online engagement, we've done our surveys, especially for our master plan survey. We've had 328 respondents to date, as well as intersection with the town website as well as the project website.
Oh, Chris, sorry. I did also, we actually had a really great session with the Freetown Lakeville Middle School. So in 8th grade, they have the civics class. So we spent the day teaching about local government and also the master plan. And we also had a land use. If you go back, Chris, to the other slide, we basically had little blocks and they had an imaginary town. And it was really great to just hear from the kids. So we're summarizing some of that feedback, but really like we're like, what do you love about Freetown? And they're like, well, there's not really a lot to do here. So that's what a lot of the middles, so, you know, kids are always really great. And I always think of them as better planners than adults. So I just want to give that little.
They don't like it is.
Yeah, they do. They do.
No filter.
They humble you.
Yeah, that's for sure. I felt humbled there.
Thanks for bringing that up, Phil, definitely. Also quickly, with our interactive map that I'm sure you guys have all seen before, in terms of the most liked comments in regard to the 2 topics we're talking about today. The top 2 were in regard to the Four Corners intersection and needing improvements, as well as a desire for more variety in terms of cable providers as well. So those were the 2 most liked comments having to do with tonight's topics. So from that map, as well as from the surveys, we've kind of deduced from community feedback that expanding infrastructure is really important to folks, as well as improving safety along corridors, as well as modernizing town facilities and programming. Just to have a quick recap of our first deep dive, in the handout you guys all have, it shows the draft goals and strategies for land use, housing, economic development. Anything highlighted in green, we adjusted based on feedback from the last meeting, as well as any other changes. The biggest change was we adjusted our minimum lot size requirement strategy to focus more on different housing typologies aside from single family. I know during the first deep dive, like duplexes, for example, were brought up as something that maybe should be potentially looked at for zoning review or amendment. The other change was we included a new strategy, and this is from the work having to do with 3A. We, from that work, there was some discussion around split zoning and split zoning lots. So we incorporated that into the draft goals and strategies under land use as well. From the last deep dive, we got some really good comments in regard to tonight's topics, which was really good. So we were able to kind of apply those ahead of time, and you'll see those with our draft goals and strategies going forward. All right, so moving on to existing conditions and vision. Just to briefly summarize townwide facilities, the town provides a variety of services to its residents, whether that's through the COA, where we are now, through the library or helping to maintain infrastructure. All these things are very much tied to the investments that are put into them and how they develop. So real quickly, here's a map of key landmarks and services. We can see here public safety, we can see the locations of the library as well as town hall, as well as churches around town. Just to briefly discuss the library, I'm sure you guys all know, there are two public libraries in town, one in Asonet and one in East Freetown. Just from our department head survey, we kind of found out that between the two libraries, they only have 3 staff. So that is a problem that was brought up through the department head survey, that it's difficult to run both of these libraries simultaneously and have programming happen at those 2 facilities. And then I'm sure you guys know at the library in Asonet, there is no running water. So that was another problem that was noted. Also through our department head survey, we learned that the library has gone through several iterations of applying for funding for the building of a new library as well. The Council on Aging, so here we are. An important thing to note from our lit review is that we found that during the recent municipal vulnerability preparedness plan, it was highlighted from workshop participants that the COA was in need of improvement. And also based on COA surveying from last year, they kind of looked at how respondents perceive or how they perceive the possible construction of a joint building between the COA and library. We saw from that survey that about 74% of respondents were supportive of that project. Now, in terms of the town hall, we had numerous department heads that work in the town hall provide us feedback through the department head survey. The major takeaway there was that there were some space issues in order to execute their roles to their fullest capacity, as well as a lack of space for public meetings. And they need to outsource that to COA, the public safety building, as we've seen for our meetings. Also, the distance from the town hall from residents to East Freetown was also noted in that specific example. So now quickly discussing water and sewer. As we know, water is a very important ingredient for the development of housing, businesses, as well as town facilities. Being able to process waste or drinking water can be an expensive undertaking. So that's why it's important to make the most efficient system possible. And the town is actively pursuing different opportunities to expand said infrastructure. Here we have a map of the water customers and sewer customers in town. Note that the sewer customers are overlapping with water customers. So if you see a sewer customer on that map, they're also a water customer. Something important to note is there's only 3 sewer customers in town that use municipal sewer. Both systems originate in, so the system that originates in Asonet, or that provides water and sewer to Asonet, originates from Fall River, and the system that provides water to East Freetown originates in New Bedford. And on the slide, we have the number of customers for each on there as well. So from the department head survey, we also learned of the town applying and receiving of a grant for engineering for a sewer line extension in South Main Street. So this is to accommodate development in the industrial park in South Asonet, as well as to accommodate for development around the MBTA station and the PMUD. So obviously having to rely on 2 other municipalities for wastewater treatment and water treatment creates several problems. But it's important to note that because there is that dependency there, that there's still needs for expansion of those systems. For example, there isn't sewer in East Freetown where there could be demand for it, as well as there may be some more system expansions necessary to accommodate future development in the PMUD or PDD. Just continuing on the trend of infrastructure, the town is also partaking in broadband initiatives. The town is in the process of building a municipal fiber network to improve connection and affordability of internet for town-owned buildings. Freetown recently kicked off a digital equity plan to learn about the community's needs regarding internet connection. This plan will help Freetown pursue funding in the future for broadband infrastructure grants. So in terms of services and facilities, community vision, we can see that residents would like to maintain a small town, family-oriented community, that town infrastructure must be improved to continue needed development. And there's a desire to expand programming, activities, and community events in town. So from that sentiment, we could kind of derive 3 key goals in regard to services and facilities. The first being explore initiatives to support community-led programming, followed by replace, modernize, and improve aging town buildings. And finally, expand key infrastructure services to meet demands and make Freetown an attractive place to live. Are there any questions to this point? I will go right on ahead. So now to talk about transportation. As we all know, driving cars has become an essential part of living in the modern day. However, with the changing times, more people are looking to travel through more cost-conscious ways, including walking, biking, or through public transit. Overall, this kind of section is meant to maintain the safety of all users and keep it to the highest priority. Just to quickly go over some existing conditions for transportation. We can see here, for example, like MassDOT jurisdiction. We can see Freetown's kind of jurisdiction over roads unidentified. And actually, Philip, quick question. What do we define town unaccepted roads as? If you know that one.
I believe those are just private.
Just private roads.
ways, yeah,
Gotcha.
that the town isn't in charge of like maintaining.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Seems like a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a fair share amount on there as well. let's-
Yeah, I would say like those are probably like fire roads, right? Or-
Yeah.
Yeah, that checks out. So also quickly going over sidewalk and transit, we can see here the majority of sidewalk infrastructure is kind of contained to like important nodes in Asona and East Freetown. We can also see that the Serta Fall River route only really goes up South Main Street and doesn't reach North Main Street. And we can also see that the Serta New Bedford does not have a bus route currently that goes into East Freetown. And we can also see on here the proposed South Coast Rail Line as well as the T station in Asona. So our final existing conditions map for transportation. This is just highlighting crashes in particular areas of town. We can see here that the majority of crashes are taking place along the interchange for 24 and South Main Street. Also 24, further down 24, I should say, and South Main Street as well, heading into Fall River. There's also a large number on, I believe it's Chase Road and 140. So those are just some.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What's the time frame on that? Like,
It's a
Crashes.
5-year period.
okay,
Yeah.
just wondering,
I think from, not sure what the end years, but it's like over 5.
like a 5-year period. Okay, thank you.
I wonder if that person who's throwing screws out on Main Street skewed these numbers a little bit. We had that little problem.
Screw bandit,
That'd be 3 times.
really?
Yep.
They were calling, yeah, there was someone that was
Yeah.
throwing screws out on the street and
Oh.
he ended up getting arrested.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I've heard of people like throwing nails on the street, but.
he's caught red-handed. Like,
Yeah,
Well, that's good to know.
Brandon, I got tires like on like a Monday and I had 3 flat tires that week.
oh my god, that's horrible.
I wonder if you're a part of the statistics on here.
I'm wondering if, those are-
So moving right along, so this is just to summarize the complete streets prioritization plan that Freetown is conducting or has completed. to this-
Completed.
Yeah. So as you can see here, there are 17 points of prioritization. It's mainly focused on Assonet with some in the kind of central corridor where we are right now, as well as 2 in East Freetown. Let's see, so based off community sentiment regarding transportation, there's a desire to upgrade dangerous intersections, to expand sidewalks and bike paths, and to maintain more hiking trails. And from that, we can kind of deduce or from that, we can kind of deduce these 3 goals in regards to transportation. The first being complete key transportation projects that improve circulation, safety, and appearance in Freetown. The second, provide more bicycle, pedestrian, and transit facilities in key areas in town. Work with MassDOT on traffic and safety improvements at key corridors and intersections such as North Main Street. Any questions so far?
I have a question about the bike paths in general.
Yeah,
So I know like Mattapoisett, they just extended out and built a beautiful bike path that connects Fairhaven and
Mhm.
like, do you know where the funding for that sort of? Is that come locally from Mattapoisett or is that state? I mean, that's just something,
I think,
Oh.
I think a majority, if not all, was grant funded, and
Grant
I
funded,
think
okay.
that's why it took so long.
yeah,
But I don't know like exactly what funding sources they received to do that,
mhm,
but that's something I could reach out to them for just to see, but.
We
yeah.
have the master plan, so we're like, if I looked up, we could figure it
yeah, we
out.
should have
Okay.
that info on there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
okay,
mean, and there's not, I don't think there's any bike paths like in neighboring communities that we could extend and connect to, but like,
Yeah.
we'd have a lot of space, we have a lot of people bike. through
Yeah.
town, But I don't think taxpayers are gonna wanna, take on that bill, but
no,
if there's money out there for it, something definitely. look into.
yeah, okay.
So for example, number 17, you wanna go back, Chris? It's hard to see, it's the orange one on, I guess it's,
Right there in the
yeah,
center.
through kind of the, state, along the state forest, basically the road I took to get here. Like that would be help, because Freetown did a complete streets plan,
Mhm.
that kind of gives you access to the funding that. comes
Yeah.
From that. And God, I'm trying to remember the name. I think so, generally, a lot of times it would come, you can also have like a TIP project, or transportation improvement project, so those are kind of like a running
Yeah.
list that the state works on, but basically most of the funding will come from Mass.
Yeah, there's,
I think the
Mass
rail
Trail.
trail in Mattapoisett was also like partial, I think there was also just like private donor funding because they
yeah,
have
there
like
might have been,
a
yeah,
kind of advocacy nonprofit group that kind of like,
yeah, that spearheaded that,
together.
right, yeah,
and it is a rail trail, it's on an old rail bed, so like, they didn't have to necessarily acquire new land.
Yeah.
That was
Mhm.
its own right of way.
Yep, makes sense. I mean, I was just Mattapoisett a couple weeks ago, it was like,
Yeah,
it's very, it was beautiful and it was
Yeah.
like heavily utilized. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a ton-
Mhm.
it was, I was like near the, where the YMCA is, it was really cool, so.
Mhm.
All the Freetown residents going down there.
And that's the thing, like, it'd almost be like, I don't know, I know after Fairhaven, I'm not sure if it stops in Fairhaven or if it continues into like New Bedford and Acushnet, like, it'd be amazing if
I don't
someday
think so,
you get all the way to the Cape, right, from,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
it's part of the bigger like South Coast like bike trail or something.
Yeah, it might be,
Why would you need the Mass DOT for hiking trails? It seems like that would be more, hiking would be more woods.
I'll look into that a little
Because that
bit
doesn't
more,
make
yeah.
much sense. That would be like sidewalks to me, that you want
Yeah.
a safety with traffic. And I mean, for hiking trails, we have hundreds of acres of hiking trails.
Maybe it's just like, it might be speaking to like any biking trails that might intersect with roadways or anything like that. I'll look a little bit.
Well,
more into
biking,
this.
I could see that for the sidewalks and the bike paths, right? But the hiking trails are like, you're hiking in the woods or you're in state
State forest.
forest.
Yeah,
or-
so I always interpreted this graphic, I think it's a little misleading, it was like.
it's
it kinda-
not an
It all funnels
arrow,
into what, like,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
1-to-1, it's kind of like all the group will funnel, and then we kind
Yeah.
of came up with the strategies based on that, but the hiking trails would definitely be well, a combination of DCR.
Yeah,
And the town, One way that many of our communities have been building out hiking trails is when there's a kind of open space residential development or a private developer, usually the town can work with them to preserve it, or the town just acquires
Yeah.
land and kind of conserves it.
Yeah, for us, like, we have, I mean, it's all state land, right? State forest has tons of hiking trails, it's really signage, right? And be able to,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
things-
all the
I,
ones are marked.
I go out there a good amount, like mountain biking, and I get lost almost every time.
Yeah,
And I have GPS on my phone, like. what-
Hiking trails we have down.
Yeah,
Any other questions before we, review the draft goals and strategies? All right, so as I said previously, our first goal for services and facilities, replace, modernize, and improve aging town buildings. So strategy one, create a civic center or municipal campus at the center of Freetown. Strategy B, conduct an ADA self-assessment and pursue a transition plan for town-owned buildings and facilities.
can I interrupt?
Yes,
We did B.
and that's cut right now.
Okay.
Awesome. Any comments about that before we continue on?
Are we ADA compliant in any of our buildings?
I don't, I.
No, not even the police station.
Really?
Not even the new-
I was gonna say, that's the only one that.
Yeah, like even like the way the bathrooms are situated, like some things are too close to the, like I think the toilet might be too close to the wall. I can send you the plan.
I believe you.
Yeah, there are some issues with that building. Yeah.
We can tweak strategy B to say something like pursue funding for, yeah,
Yes, to achieve compliance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that better. Yeah, and I can send you the plan that we did, if that would be more helpful to
oh, yeah,
inform the master plan.
that'd be perfect.
Okay.
So goal two, for services and facilities, explore initiatives to support community-led programming. We only have one strategy, so strategy A, investigate partnerships with other municipalities such as Lakeville and New Bedford to improve services and programming. Just a quick note, so this strategy precipitated from conversations I have had with like the library staff. They were telling me that they have a lot of overlap with like Lakeville residents coming down to, I think it's the James White Memorial Library in East Freetown. Just because of proximity, they're closer to that library than the Lakeville Public Library. And same with residents from New Bedford coming up to that same library, just because it's closer in proximity to some of their other public facilities. So yeah.
What about like Berkeley first on it too? I don't know what they have for, do they have a library in Berkeley? Yeah.
Oh,
It's on the common for the grant, yeah.
Yeah,
Spaces, it's a little small.
looks kind of similar to our.
It's an 1850s building, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a bathroom though?
Chances are there's wrong.
I know they have a basement,
oh, wow.
yes.
So like I kind of mentioned, in terms of like overlap with programming between libraries, of Lakeville, Freetown and New Bedford, can you guys think of any other programming or services that you might want to like incorporate a bit more into the master plan to see more development on or anything?
I mean, I know this is going back to transportation a little bit, but I've heard from a few people that they would like the bus stops like further in town. I've heard just in general, like about the transportation issue, like there's no way to get around for like, I work with someone and her son can't utilize the bus to get to work. Like she has to make herself able to drive him. Like there's no just public transportation. I know it's kind of like a separate, but that could kind of factor into community partnerships a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the COA has a transportation program here and we have a couple van drivers, but they don't do nights. I don't believe there's weekend availability.
Mhm.
So maybe there could be some sort of tie-in there with like, you know, an on-demand ride service. So, you know, our, you know, residents that don't drive or don't drive at night have the ability to come to town meeting and other, you know, town events. I don't know, that's my thought on that.
Yeah, we can definitely incorporate that into the strategy. We could expand it out a little bit more to talk about like those specific populations, like school population. student
Yeah.
Population as well.
Mhm.
Any other comments before we move on?
I wonder if Sarah has any plans to move the bus route towards the Freetown and BTA station. Because as you say now, they just make the loop along the
Yeah.
Nation Way. And it's only half a mile, so more.
Yeah,
Or
Mm.
actually, they took the highway 24 got off in South Main and made the loop. That'd be it.
Yeah, you'll see in a second, we have a strategy to expand sort of bus service
Oh,
up
okay.
into the Sonnet and then start service
Mhm.
in East Freetown as well.
Okay, good.
Anything else before we move on?
I think like any any, other communities you've worked with that have kind of any wins? I'm drawing a blank here.
Happy to look into it. This is actually my first master plan, so,
Okay.
but we've done some other ones in recent memory, so we can look into that definitely.
Yeah. Right, something right in front of us we're not considering,
Yeah, it's good to have other perspectives,
For
see what
sure.
other communities are doing
Yeah.
too.
You'll see when we're writing out the master plan, we definitely tie in like contextual examples as well to see
Okay.
what's been working and stuff
Oh,
like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
So moving along, unless there's other questions or comments, our final services and facilities, goal, as I previously said, expand key infrastructure services to meet demands and make Freetown an attractive place to live. Strategy A, determine needs for Freetown's municipal infrastructure, facilities, and services under potential land use and development scenarios. So this strategy in particular, definitely, we got some good insight from you folks, during the previous deep dive. So looking into capacity for like public safety, that's something that's very much tied into the strategy, as well as understanding capacity needs or with the growth of the town through, for example, like the PMUD or PDD, when development comes in over there. Yeah, so that's kind of where it had come from. And then strategy B, ensure reliable access to electricity and broadband internet through various townwide broadband initiatives. And strategy C, investigate funding opportunities to improve cost burdens on residents for vital service improvements such as septic tanks. So that last one, I feel like just generally in the region, there's always, or there currently has been issues with being able to afford new septic tanks. So looking at funding opportunities through the state to potentially help residents with kind of septic needs like that. That's kind of where that came from. Any comments or questions about these goals and strategies?
I have one that
Yes.
doesn't really specifically tie in, but the cell service, I know like it's not the same thing as the internet, but I know I have an issue on Slabridge Road and my calls will drop.
Mhm.
And I know they're doing a project for emergency services, right? Something to do with
Hours.
the cell tower. Yeah, is that gonna help just emergency services in your communications?
I would assume that.
Yeah,
that's what-
Yeah, so-
I don't
Yeah.
think it's-
I'm just not involved in projects. I
No,
wasn't
so
sure.
hopefully we'll be able to lease out
Okay,
to cell phone carriers on like once. but
once
that
that's
hasn't
installed.
happened yet.
Oh,
And we need cell phone carriers to be interested in,
oh, yeah.
it has to make economic sense for them. Right, that's the problem, I think, with this, is like, we have to incentivize cell phone companies to want to.
Okay,
We
Yeah.
can definitely tie that into strategy A, like looking at capacity issues and like infrastructure issues
Yeah.
that are taking place.
okay.
Yeah, my calls drop like on the way home.
Yeah, mine too.
like, every
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So moving along to
So
transportation.
before we move on, sorry, Chris.
No, you're good.
Like, this was a huge topic, which is like, truly imagine, I mean, they're not gonna all come online instantly, but truly imagine if like 750 of these units, I would do 50 times 15, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, appeared on the T-stop, what are like the biggest infrastructural constraints that the town, because we heard like, oh, there's not enough kind of fire or police service to cover that, like, right, kind of in that area. I might think about like, what are the impacts of school busing? And so that's something I want everyone to think about, so we can make sure that this plan really captures like what needs to happen for Freetown to kind of add that in.
Yeah, thank you, Philip. So moving on into transportation, our first goal, complete key infrastructure projects that, key transportation projects that improve circulation, safety, and, so it's blocking me here, appearance in Freetown. So like we previously said, for strategy A, seek tier 3 funding for projects from the town's MassDOT complete streets prioritization plan. So that very much ties into, like potential bike path improvements and the like, funding in that respect. So for strategy B, investigate the creation of a traffic safety committee that would regularly meet to review documented safety issues, certain types of proposed developments, and other transportation related issues. Now, I looked on the town website and I could not find a traffic safety committee. Is
Not
there
that I
not one?
know.
Okay.
I'm probably the traffic safety person and I don't even know it.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
That's definitely good to
Do
know.
other communities have that and are they successful with that?
I think it's not commonplace, but I've definitely seen it around. I can't think of any off the top of my head. What about you, Philip?
I mean, here's the thing, like, your towns are like inundated with like a bajillion committees already, right?
Yeah. Yes, yeah, that's why I'm like,
Really, the goal is like, have somewhere you can regularly like flag, issues, and these are kind of like minor things, like, oh, there's too much freight traffic that's going down, or like, oh, there's been a lot more accidents, or if you have a traffic fatality, especially if it's pedestrian, like, how do you respond to that quickly? To make kind of the town safer, and maybe the venue is just, I don't know, board of selectmen, I don't like as an item, but having a time and place to regularly talk about it and have the right people in the room, so like public safety, the highway department, yeah, something with public works, but, and then kind of very invested citizen.
We can tweak that strategy to instead be a traffic safety committee, just say a mechanism for this stuff, like have the
Yeah.
select board or work
yeah,
under that. But yeah, we can make that tweak definitely.
I'm not sure if something like, just think about what you were saying, Philip, other communities, like the one I live in Acushnet, they have like this form and you could submit where there like are potholes.
Yeah,
And then
like that.
DPW will go around, so like maybe it could be something similar or also include potholes. But where they can submit like, hey,
Yeah.
they can flag an issue as they see it, and then we can sort of take that, or highway can sort of take that. And address it as they come, or take the next step and consult the board of selectmen or,
I
you
like
know,
that.
Yeah.
whoever, just something like that.
And I get like to my town website, I get companies that provide that service,
Oh, really?
like, yeah, like advertising emails all the time. They try to,
Oh.
So I know, we
Mhm.
definitely, I think it's something we could look into. I can bring that up on a
Mhm.
board of selectmen agendas. shortly,
Yeah.
to, see what the cost is and see if there's appetite to do it.
Mhm.
I've seen on Facebook, somebody from town will post on Freetowners, big pothole on South Main Street.
Yep, and
Come
Back
down
and
there.
be like,
Yeah.
come on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, no, seriously.
He does
like,
do
it
that,
does
yeah.
He like monitors those
He-
pages.
Yeah,
But if there was an official kind of way to do
Yeah,
it, right?
That's
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
official.
Yeah.
And then we can track too, like.
when it was last done too, like,
And
it
like
yeah.
metrics, right? Yeah, like, you'd be able to see like, all right, well, this was logged,
Mhm.
this, and this was the turnaround time. to get
Exactly,
fixed,
yep.
and,
Mhm.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
It's gotta be like, right, when anybody has any kind of an issue now, they go right online.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Seriously, like
Mm-hmm.
that's
Whether they have an
just
issue or
like,
not.
whether they have an issue or not, right, you're right, you're
Yeah.
right, Charlie.
For sure. Yeah, we can definitely tweak that strategy to make it fit Freetown a bit better.
Mhm.
it'd be great if we could get a grant to pay for that website service, that would.
yeah, I don't think everyone uses a website service. I think sometimes it's like, like how you submit the contact form through the website.
Yeah,
So I think it's almost like that, at least in a Acushnet. Don't quote me on that, I've never
Yeah.
used it, but,
I've seen an app, like when I was living in like,
oh, okay.
it was like an app that you could download for like, when I was living in Somerville at the time, I think it was something like that. Where you could like report,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
like,
this,
so you could even geotag it, right?
oh, that's
You know
cool.
what I mean? Like.
Yeah,
mark
put
this
the-
location.
Might be a long stretch of road.
Kind of 311 type
Yeah,
web
exactly.
service,
Yeah.
yeah, so you can like do
Oh,
a
okay.
lot of issues. to
Oh,
report.
okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So moving along, the next goal, as I previously said, was work with MassDOT on traffic and safety improvements at key corridors and intersections such as North Main Street. Strategy A, transform North and South Main Street into a safe multimodal spine for Freetown by conducting a corridor study. Strategy B, perform safety studies on the most dangerous corridors and intersections with high crash rates such as South Main Street and Chase Road. Any questions, comments on those?
You'll reference this chart that you made with that,
Yes.
good, if it's right next to it.
see, our last transportation goal, provide more bicycle, pedestrian, and, sorry, this thing keeps blocking me, and transit facilities in key areas in town. Strategy A, provide additional bike and vehicle parking at parks, trails, and town beaches to enhance public access and encourage multimodal transportation methods in town. Strategy B, continue communication and coordination efforts with the MBTA regarding the future of South Coast Rail commuter rail service through town. And finally, with strategy C, work with CERTA to improve access to South Main Street and create a route from New Bedford to East Freetown. Any questions, comments on that goal and those strategies?
Just regarding the trails, I don't know if this fits into it, but I think signage is important, like having trailheads and people knowing like where these.
Where you are.
Yeah, one thing that has been on my mind to do is not of the state forest, just because that's state owned, state managed, but showing where our Freetown's trails, and I want it, Rochester actually has a nice book that someone had did for them. And it shows all of their trails, it shows where you can hunt, bike, fishing access, like it,
Oh, that's
it's a nice
yeah.
comprehensive kind of like little book for that. So I think, I don't know if that really fits in with transportation, but
Well, I mean, in terms of trails, definitely, maybe we can incorporate something like that for open space or
Okay,
recreation.
yeah.
That might make more sense, maybe, we'll fiddle around with that. And see,
Yeah.
What fits with that.
mhm.
Any other questions or comments?
What are the town-owned trails? Like the main ones?
Little one over here, right, right,
There's one behind here.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, Central,
right there,
yes,
right
the
there.
Central Park,
Is there one on Long Pond too? No,
not that I know of, a Sonnet Path, which is at the Forge Richmond Crossing,
Border pastures.
Porter Pasture. Porter Pasture is really the only one with like public access and parking. So that's like a big thing, like we own a lot of conservation parcels, but not, all of them have either parking or like an actual trail. So it's like no real public access.
I think one of the pictures we had of the rivers that we have from the drone, Dan and I actually walked down that path because there wasn't actual parking to get down there, and we were like, oh, like,
Yeah.
we're not really sure if we can drive down or not, so we hooked it, but
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we can definitely highlight that.
Who owns the bogs?
Oh, the Millbrook Bog Restoration?
Yeah.
That's state owned. I'm not sure where they are in the process of that, but that's gonna look really nice when it's done.
That's a Holland Road one.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I think
Most
that's
of
it.
all of our trails are all state, I'm just looking.
Yeah, it's all the,
All state.
yeah, state forest is a bunch of them, but that's something I would like to see like improved a little bit,
Mhm, Definitely.
um,
Yeah, and that can be tied in with any bike trails that are brought into town as well for,
mhm.
There's all those hiking trails off of Whitaker's too, I don't know, are those? That must be,
None that
Uh,
conservation maintain, I can tell you that.
Do you have any waterworks?
yeah, Waterworks definitely have
So-
them, but that must be.
Oh,
most
that's
expensive,
their,
right?
yeah,
theirs.
that's City of New Bedford.
I'm just
that
thinking
owns
of
that,
the
yeah.
walking
A lot of
trail
people
there.
go walking there with their dogs.
That's a very popular spot.
Yeah. Mhm, yeah,
It's only Bedford Water.
yeah.
all right,
So, Random other question, what's the status of the Four Corners, like, you're thinking, sorry.
No, it's okay, so. Yeah, so right now, we haven't decided between a signal or a roundabout approach yet, because we're trying to determine the right of way impacts first before making that decision. But apparently there was no right of way established, or one that could be found through the registry, so now we have to have a surveyor go out and establish that, and then I believe it has to go to the Board of Selectmen and potentially town meeting. I'm not quite sure of the process yet. So that's like being held up a little bit, unfortunately, so we're not gonna be able to make the, cause we want to utilize complete streets funding for that. But we're not gonna be able to make the May 1st deadline, unfortunately. So
So you have to
hopefully,
supply next year.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
the other, October, hopefully will be ready. I think that's the next deadline.
I actually saw, I know it's kind of random, but it was a really cool project where they use like these modular plastic bits for roundabout, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's super cheap and more like a pilot project,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
I can send a video.
Yeah,
It was very
cool.
cool, I was like, oh, that looks, and
Yeah.
it looked, it was really, really small, so what's
Mhm.
cool about it is. I don't know what the plan is for like the roundabout
Mm-hmm.
option right now, but like. Fire trucks and kind of big trucks can actually
Oh,
drive
the
over.
mount.
Yeah, that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice about that, right?
Yeah,
It needs
'cause
to be like,
It's fully mountable.
fully, yeah.
Okay,
And,
yeah, send it to me. Send it
So
to
we,
me.
and we're gonna have to take some sidewalk away, like, I feel like there's just not a lot of space there, right, from like where the vet is and. even
Yeah.
the Weaver's spot there.
Yeah, it's just not really, it's hard to say what, like, I think in the preliminary concept, they were going like from back of sidewalk, like that's the road layout.
Yeah.
kind of. But like, we don't know for sure, so I think it's hard to say without that being established. I think regardless of the vet situation is gonna be a better situation, cause it's gonna, you know how the turn goes like really close?
Yeah.
It's gonna bring that in a little bit,
Mhm.
or should I say further away from the
Yeah.
building?
Yeah.
So I think they'll end up with a better situation.
Yeah, no,
But my hope anyways.
I think that's it. So, our kind of next steps are, to continue engagement and to, schedule the final deep dive.
Awesome, okay. What's the final deep dive?
So that's, natural cultural resources and open space and recreation.
Oh, so I kind of jumped the gun with the whole trail thing.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of times in the plan, we have complementary actions.
Yeah.
So it's like they're really, really
Yeah.
related. Trails is both the transportation thing, but also like
Yeah.
open space, and rec.
Mhm.
So hopefully for that deep dive, we can engage the open space, the OSRP, the committee. They seem pretty involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
they-
maybe
yeah, they
even
are.
someone from the historic commission.
Okay.
Or
Mhm.
society.
no, that would be great. Yeah, open space would probably love to be involved for that one.
And really, the master plan is all about just taking the recommendations in the OSRP. You did all the work there. Kind of like
Yeah,
saying, how does it connect to all the other things we're.
Right.
thinking?
okay.
I got a random question, so.
Yeah.
A friend of mine brought this up to me this week, and I really thought about it, so he has to go into Boston for work, right? Currently, he takes the Lakeville train, but he's gonna start taking the Freetown or the Fall River one once it's available. And so he'll go in and he'll have to spend an overnight, because he'll be there for 2 or 3 days, right? And apparently the Lakeville MBTA's parking lot, you cannot leave your car overnight,
No, I don't think so.
right? Do we know in Freetown, is that gonna be the same?
I don't know off the top of my head. I
Yeah.
imagine that would be an MTA like
That's what I
policy.
just figured, I didn't know if town had any insight, Yeah, I mean, cause it kind of like. The way I look at it, it's like, people want to use the train so they don't drive, say they're going to a Red Sox game,
Yeah,
and they're gonna be drinking, they want to get a hotel overnight, come home in the
Right.
morning. You can't use it, it kind of takes that out,
Yeah.
but.
well, that's
That's
some,
at least,
yeah,
yeah,
They might be concerned that people going to the airport or something and fill up 3/4
yeah,
of the
but if you
parking
pay for it, like, I know, like, pay
yeah,
on the app, right? So if you could buy a couple days,
yeah,
you know what I mean, I agree, like, or. I'm sure that's a thought, right, is that you need to have space,
for the people commuting day to day. Yeah, I can
lot. Long
understand.
term,
exactly, that's what I
Yeah,
was
have a
thinking.
long, yeah.
Once the long term is filled up, it's filled up.
yeah,
Yeah,
right, exactly.
exactly,
Yeah.
get together, yeah.
That doesn't hurt to reach out to them and sort of like, if that's the position, like maybe the board of selectmen want to take or something like that.
Yeah,
Before it opens, maybe that's something they can,
They're having
Yeah.
a meeting right now, aren't they?
oh, they're having a meeting.
South Coast, yeah.
Gene Fox is still saying that she doesn't know, they don't know when it's gonna open up. It's still doing testing.
Yes, a lot of
Yeah.
testing.
I don't know. If the equipment's already there, why they're not just testing? No, I did see a process where they're testing the joints.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It was, they had a machine that was like an asphalt, and they heated the joint. But then 6 or 8 guys with sledgehammers hit it. They had this really technical machine, and behind it is this John Henry game.
Mm.
Actually, well, so I live in Attleboro and our building only allows you 1 spot per unit. And, I'm a terrible person, so we have 2 cars. Not well in the TOD, but I rent a space from the Attleboro parking lot, like the
Oh.
P-stop lot. And I just park it overnight. So I think it's like case by case.
That's good though, right?
Oh, okay.
That-
Good to know, yeah.
That means maybe Lakeville made that decision.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
you know.
maybe if we show too, like, that, like, if our residents are interested in that, like, we can let them know ahead of time, like, hey, like, you
Yeah,
know?
and it doesn't impact me at all, honestly, because I live about 2 minutes from the train, so like that's not an issue, but like I know other
Yeah.
people, you know,
Yeah,
it's definitely something that
yeah,
frustrates a lot of people.
yeah,
Might just be like the management like up to the management company and then like local, because I can imagine a town being not wanting overnight parking because they're
Yeah.
worried like the airport or.
Yeah,
Crime, right? They would break it into like cars, I get that, right?
Yeah.
There's definitely that side of it.
yeah, true,
Sorry,
true. I didn't think about it like that, yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah,
Yes.
the last meeting, there's questions in here that you want us to answer. Nothing in here? I didn't see any.
We just had the one. If you can think of anything that you'd like to add, definitely reach out to Victoria.
But you're still looking for us to answer whatever you,
From the previous one?
from the previous one.
Yeah, if you still have input about that,
Yeah,
definitely.
okay.
Um, Yeah, because this is still an ongoing process in terms of like refining the goals and strategies, like nothing's really set in stone quite yet, so if you guys have more input, we'd appreciate and love it, definitely.
Okay.
Say like the main conceptual question for today's workshop is like, really, are we missing anything? You know, we didn't necessarily dive nitty gritty into like certain intersections, but if you want us to like, you're like, hey, this is an intersection we really concerned about, let's highlight it in the plan.
Mm.
That's something we would love to know. And then my earlier point, which is like, what concerns you have about like the town services related to the MBTA growth.
It's huge. Concerns there.
yeah.
So I think you mentioned like the fire,
As
right?
far
Like
as
3
as,
fire stations right now,
well,
right?
we have,
Yeah, but
We
the
have-
firefighters, not doing
Yeah.
well, we have three now.
Okay.
But both fire stations on the each end of town are not manned fire stations. Those are for guys and girls coming from home. When the 3 guys who are on duty can't handle the calls.
Mm.
So there's nobody in those stations. They're not manned. So with the added train station and the housing that's gonna go into selling it, you're gonna have to staff an ambulance on that end of town for sure. There's no
Main
doubt about
Station
it.
is the one in the center, right?
The main station is one right over here, yeah,
Yeah.
right across from us.
Mhm, yeah,
That's
It's
the one
centrally
that's.
located, but
centrally
not, but not
located,
super
but-
close to anything. It's kind of one of.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's in the middle of town, but it's
Yeah.
not, yeah, exactly.
But that's always been there because the PMUD could easily have put
yes,
in
that's true,
senior housing.
yeah.
There
there
was
could-
a plan in there for
Yeah,
72 units, so,
Yeah, the
so the
people,
ambulance thing has always been there
Right,
since that. was,
and the other problem that you have is you cannot fit an ambulance into the Assonet station.
Well, you could, you just have to, it's not the ambulance.
You know, there's no way you can fit an ambulance now. What ambulance? do
A
they
mini
make?
ambulance?
Those transport.
Oh, one of the ambulances?
Maybe
You
it's
could
a-
fit an ambulance.
You gotta tell the truth.
The truth is you cannot fit an ambulance in a fire station. That's the truth.
well, I think that should be noted.
We
in
have
the
to,
plan.
we have to make
Yeah.
special fire trucks to fit in there.
I don't know if it's a crazy idea, but you know, PMUD's really, really big.
Yes,
And I don't know if you can work with the developer to add a new facility there. I don't know if that makes sense at all.
oh, I see what you're saying,
Public, infuse private funds into developing.
Or at
something like
least
that.
giving the land for the town.
oh, like in that area,
Yeah.
I mean, oh. I don't know, I mean, there's nothing in the bylaw for that, that's for sure that we just amended, but. I
Well,
don't
there's
know.
open space, right? We're supposed to give some of it.
For
part
open
of it.
space, 30, yeah, 30% for open space
So in theory, you could like
Well-
waive a certain requirement
and try and,
And
okay,
you could-
yeah,
What's
Like
train?
that,
Yeah,
yeah, I
sure.
see what you're saying, yeah,
But
yeah,
you know, if it's something worth exploring, you know, you can always put in the plan, like something to explore.
yeah,
But at least it's
Okay.
written down somewhere. and then,
right, and a
Like in
reference
the future,
point.
someone's like,
If
maybe we should try that.
you did have a developer, is there the possibility, say you had a developer come in to develop an area? And could you put a stipulation on that, you know, like say that they provide a piece of land for a new fire station? Because that, I know that over in Somerset, at the time when they built one of the nursing homes there, that I forget which one it is, I think it's the one right off of 6, they didn't have a ladder truck. And they ended up, providing a ladder truck initially for Somerset.
But they must have got something in return, like they.
Oh, well, they got to build the building, you know, they,
But if the building could go in there by right, what,
yes.
they must have wanted something else.
That was, I guess my question, is it, if there is a development, is it totally by right, and they just gotta come in and tell you what they have to do that prescribes to the zoning and, mass?
Yeah, if it all fits in, sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
So they.
for
built-
multifamily, but like if it's like a mixed use building, there's some, special permits will be required. So it really depends on the
You'd
development.
have to do
that
some
would be
trading.
my-
Yeah.
You'd have to-
That was my question, is it absolutely by right, or do they have to come before you in certain stipulations?
Well, for the 3A, it is by right, which, your hands are tied slightly.
Yeah, for the multifamily, but if they're doing a mixed use, I think if they, like, if they're not having multifamily, it's special permit for the most part. I mean, I can send you the exact text of the change, but yeah, that's the sort of the general
I'm
kind of.
thinking, I'll have to ask Taylor if that's like something you can, and it's already, unfortunate, I think the 3A part is already like sailing and you can't edit
Yes.
it,
Yes,
but in theory, it could be snuck into like a performance measure type thing, but I don't know if the state would like.
yeah, I don't know.
Like, I know it's different, because for like Copart, right, and didn't they buy us, new fire hoses?
Yeah.
Right, I know they buy
We've been donating stuff from.
a lot of those,
How
yeah.
many feet of hose do they burn when they?
Probably get it.
I heard.
We lost all these hoses,
Yeah.
is that what it was?
Yeah.
But I'll say like, even with like the 15 dwelling units per acre and all the kind of like additional upzoning, like the ability to give a little flexibility in some random place that developer needs could unlock like.
Yes,
that. Or it's
no, I
like, maybe it's a
agree.
piece of land that just isn't kind of ideal for them.
Yeah,
So I feel like there's a lot of creative ways, even though like it's by right, still there's site plan.
yeah,
review,
there's still the
a lot of
performance standards,
public-
yeah, and there are, the planning board did say, at least propose in the bylaw, that they can request to waive any of the requirements. So like, let's say like for parking, if they want to waive the parking, like I
Mhm.
see what Philip's saying, whereas that could sort of be the hey, you wanna waive this, but we
Yeah,
would
go give
like
and take.
this,
Makes sense.
yeah.
You know what, there's that one, and I've talked to Deb about this, but there's a one piece of property that's, it used to be, I wanna say it was a VFW. They used to do karate in
The
it.
American Legion.
The American Legion, that's what it was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
falling apart now.
down.
Bacon,
The only thing with it is they never realized, or I don't know, but it says it was a Quaker cemetery there.
Yeah,
Quakers never put up headstones,
yeah,
so I don't know,
remember
but that is a piece of property. That,
and it's owned by American Legion still, right? But
yeah, I don't think we own that,
well, I don't know if there's American Legion. Anymore, it's definitely not using the building.
no, that's for sure.
yeah, I know it's
But I
vacant
don't
for
know if
sure,
they
but,
find defunct or not.
Yeah,
yeah, I don't think we own that one.
but they're paying taxes on it. We should look into that.
Tax title.
Yeah, but like, it's a piece of property that's in like, now a very important piece of property, right? Like where it's located, like, it's something, if we can get our hands on it, we might be able to utilize it for something. Potentially another fire station or,
Yeah, I think we mentioned it at the last deep dive, potentially making a complementary action, maybe under that, looking at tax title properties for use for.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So I do have,
One,
I did contact the tax collector's office. So there are a few properties that, aside from like Concom owned properties that the town owns for tax title.
yeah.
So I'll send that list out to you guys. I know you guys had asked for that last time. But it's really not as many as you think. I wanna say it's like less than 10 properties, and a lot of them are smaller.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know, I forget, what was the reason why we wanted to look into that?
I think
I
we-
wouldn't hear about it.
I think we had a strategy under housing that was looking at.
Oh, for potential,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, a lot of those are smaller parcels, but I mean, like really small, but I'll send that out and I'll send that out.
Oh,
to
yeah,
you
yeah,
guys,
that'd
So
be
we can,
perfect.
include
Yeah.
those in there.
That might be a good mapping exercise for us too, just to see where they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The town owns them now,
10 acres.
yes,
They've
yes,
taken over.
yep, so, yeah,
and they won't turn around and try to sell them, or what, that's up to these guys if they wanna sell them.
yeah, I think so, it'd have to just go to like auction or something, I don't, I'm
Generally,
not
we
too
do,
sure. the
right?
process.
We don't want to own land we don't need,
Right.
right? But especially when it can be generating tax revenue.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of these properties, like, think about the one that's own it, the red building, right, which we own a tax title. It's problematic to sell because of a lot of reasons, right? Trying to go through that process, but it's like
Is that a spot?
not as easy to get rid of as you would think. Or we've had auctions and no one
What
buys.
about the ball fields at KRF?
What about them? Who owns them?
Well, I know it's town of Freetown, but like, are those fields being used?
I think
There
they're
are,
leased out,
Oh, yeah, we mean,
yeah, a
Very
lot of.
controversial.
Last time I was down there, they were a mess.
I know that-
I don't think they're very, I don't think they're well maintained, but they are leased out.
yeah, and the problem is, right, people, no one wants to take care of them if they're not.
Well, I'm saying, is
guaranteed
is that a piece of land that we could access at some point?
And for,
useful.
like municipal facilities, I mean, we
Yeah.
do own it, we could just not renew the lease, and you know what I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
throwing that out there, but. you
They
know.
are playing
Kids, oh, kids.
softball going on there now, soccer.
Yeah, there's a lot,
If
Going
that
on
is
there.
being used. it's
Yeah.
being used.
Yeah, it
The
is
last
being
time I was down there, it looked like.
I know,
yeah, it's not well maintained,
Yeah,
but they are leased out.
The other
Used to
thing
be
is the
well
property
maintained.
narrows in South Main
Yeah.
Street, that Fall River,
Shame.
water.
Yeah,
I don't know how much.
It does say with the
Driving.
American Legion
Yeah.
College, town of Freetown, man.
oh, is it?
Really?
Oh,
That's what it
I
says on
thought
the-
it was,
Yeah.
then maybe it's on my list here,
Yeah,
I'll see when I.
it's got,
Pull 'em up.
I mean, we should do something with that.
Yeah.
I don't know what, I mean, we'll see what we're limited, because there is that, graveyard there, which probably,
But it is,
There's a stream going through it too.
well,
Yeah.
that's on the north side. It would be a. Thing we would have to watch out for.
Yeah.
Do we want to schedule the next deep dive over here too?
Yes, I think we should schedule it now, just while you're all, everyone's here.
Yeah.
If that's all right. Okay, let me pull up my calendar, I'll pull up the police station calendar as well.
Yeah, why did we get subjected to here?
Board of Health had to meet over there. So they had booked it before me.
Rest of the.
I did try and ask if they'd switch, but they already scheduled a public hearing. So they couldn't move. Okay, so what's the time frame?
Do we want to do another month out? So mid-May, if that works for you guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm on vacation the week of the 20th, just,
So we'll say that one's out.
okay.
May 15th. Potentially.
in Canada,
Okay,
but I mean, I can always log in via Zoom.
okay, so, okay.
We could do the 8th too. It's up to you guys, in terms of timing, if it makes sense more.
Wednesday's better for you guys?
Wednesdays, I mean, I would prefer any day but Wednesday,
Oh, okay.
just because my golf league's on Wednesday.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the only reason.
I
But I can work around, I don't need to go.
think we're pretty flexible
We're
with the
pretty
day.
flexible.
Yeah, I think we just,
Tuesday, Wednesdays, or Thursday.
yeah, I think we've just stuck with Wednesday from the start and then kept rolling with it, but if it makes sense
Oh,
to
yeah.
do, a different day, like, we're definitely open to that.
Well, police station's booked that day anyways, on the 15th, it's FinCom, so I mean, the 14th?
I'm gonna be at a, planning board meeting. Would you guys be able to do the 16th Thursday?
Yep,
The police station's booked, but I mean, we can meet here.
I'm working that night, but I can be here as long as it's not busy.
as long as there's no emergency.
We could do the week of the 6th as well, and maybe do Thursday, if that works as well.
Yeah, I'll be in town still on Thursday, I'm just gone for the next 2 weeks.
The police station is booked, but I can, it's book club night there. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's really hard to find a
It's all
space to
good.
meet.
16th works for us. I mean,
The space isn't
The 16th
terrible.
is-
yeah,
No, I know, but I'm just saying, you
Yeah.
know, the setup's just not
I-
ideal, but
Way back, well, I'm not I'm not at the fire station that night, so.
The ninth.
I can't guarantee that I can be here. That's.
So maybe do the 9th then, Thursday the 9th,
That
if
works
that works
for
for
me.
everyone.
Yeah.
Ninth works better.
I don't want to, don't just plan it around me, but.
Well, we need a quorum, right? I mean.
Yeah, we need a quorum.
And
so-
Ninth
the
works for me.
16th, I can't guarantee.
Okay, but the 9th, everyone's good for the 9th? I don't know, you shaking your head?
Thursdays aren't the best, but you know, whatever. It's the last one, so, for the last deep dive. Yeah, Thursday, I mean. Fine,
Did we want, is earlier better if we do 5? Or is that worse?
no, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay. So it looks like the 9th. For the most part, I'm
Yeah.
sure, I'll double check with Nick, make sure he's available just in case, you can't make it, Dave. But, okay, and then that will be at the COA, but I'll of course, send reminders,
Awesome.
schedule this in now.
All right.
So is that, it's here, it'll be here,
Yeah,
yeah. okay.
yeah, police station's booked,
At 6,
yes. Okay.
We don't need to vote on that, right?
No,
Okay.
no, and there's no minutes, so I mean, unless Serpent has anything else,
I think that was it.
Philip, you good?
Okay.
Alrighty,
So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So.
second,
All in favor?
aye,
All right.
great, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you very much.